Test your might.
Welcome to the 86th episode of Retrotopia. My name is Brian, and I am going to be your host this week as we talk about the classic fighting game Mortal Kombat. I played the game on the Super Nintendo, but the fellas, they played it on the Megasis, and if you're wondering what a Megasis is, that's just literally the Mega Drive and Genesis, a term coined by Alan, so we didn't have to say the two names all the time. So that'll be Retrotopia canon now, as we call it the Megasis. But if you're just here for the game chat, head down 20 minutes into the podcast and you should find it. But we hope you stay because we like to have a little bit of fun. But before we get into that fun, of course, I always have to talk about our boilerplate stuff. So our social media, if you want to find us on social media, that's Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, or a link to our Discord. You can do so at linktree/Retrotopia. That's linktr.ee/Retrotopia. Also, we have a merch store. It's in a new location, even though it's on the same platform. You can go to retrotopia.dashery.com, where you can find all of our merch. And we keep adding more and more and more. And we have 4 new designs as of this month, so go check it out. Support the show. It helps us cut down some of the costs around here. But thank you very much for everybody who has purchased something. Means a lot to me as I put a lot of effort into designing them. And I really hope you enjoy the products. But we also have a Patreon if you want to find out another way to support us. And you can join that Patreon for free. That's right, at the low cost of $0, you can join the Patreon where you get 2 more shows, including Quick Play, which is a single-host quick review of a game that we just couldn't make into a full episode, or that one of our members of the Hero tier selected for us to play, as was one of their perks. There's also Retro Bites. Yes, you get that on the free feed, but you get it 15 days early, and we add an extra topic into it. You'll also be able to suggest topics for polls when we run them approximately every quarter. You can vote on said polls. You can comment to the game we talk about every week, like today's game, Mortal Kombat, or you can write into the host on the 9-bit banter box, because it's culturally elegant. So this week's first comment comes from Guy Who Does Things. He says, knowing that you are a Transformers geek and not much of a superior G.I. Joe geek, which is your favorite Transformer and why isn't it Starscream? First off, I don't hate G.I. Joe, but I know you like Cobra because the logo looks like a vagina. Seriously, go check out the Cobra logo. It is just a vagina. I always hated Starscream. He is not the best. He is just like the annoying sub-boss that wants to be bigger than he is. I've always hated him because, yeah, Megatron is bad. I'm the leader now. Then he dies. If you know me, I actually have a collection of Optimus Prime action figures. And Rodimus Prime as well. Those are the 2 I kind of like the most. I don't know, maybe I'm just, I like to worship the good guys. But I feel like Rodimus Prime wasn't really given a chance to shine because toy sales declined and that's what it was all about. Then they resurrected Optimus Prime. But neither of those actually would be my favorite. My favorite Transformer is going to be Ultra Magnus. He's definitely my favorite. He's a prime level power without that leadership responsibility. You know, kind of like all guns, no paperwork. He's just a kick-ass car transporting truck. And so, yeah, I mean, the original toy was just Optimus Prime shoved into a new trailer. So I love him. Ultra Magnus is my answer. Thanks for writing in, Guy Who Does Things. Moving on to Game Genius. This one took me a while, but I like this one. All right. You are creating your own traditional JRPG game, and you get 6 total characters in your game. You can choose 1 character from any JRPG, from any game, each to assemble your team. Who are you choosing to create your ultimate RPG team? Then you get to choose 2 villains. Same rule. 1 each from any, and 1 is a sub-boss, and the second turns out to be the real boss. Who do you choose? Well, I had to think about this one. This actually probably is the one that took me the most time this week. My immediate answer would be to just pluck out of the whole Final Fantasy series, but I felt like challenging myself, so I am going to stay away from Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger because I just feel like that's easy mode, and I've played a few RPGs over the last little while. I think I can make a good list. So my main protagonist would be Justin from Grandia. Originally, I think it was a Saturn game or a Sega CD game, if I remember correctly, but it's available on PlayStation, and you can actually get it on PS Plus and the Switch right now. It's a really good RPG if you like classic RPGs. Definitely check that one out. But his name is Justin. He is a dreamer and the type of character you want spearheading your story, because he wants to go further and further and explore the world. That is his whole reason to be, or raison d'etre. His supporting friend would be Ray from Xenoblade Chronicles, which I just completed. He supports the main characters, and at the beginning of Xenoblade Chronicles, I kind of thought he was like a bit of a douche, but as I kept playing, he was really like that supportive character the story needed. Definitely later on in the game, he's just that guy who keeps the main character Shulk grounded, so you need that in your party. You also need an awkward love interest, and I went right to Parasite Eve and took Aya Bree. Aya Bree is not somebody you'd think would be the obvious love interest, but you know, her story is just that, I believe, it's been a while since I played it, but I believe she's a cop that's just going through New York as shit happens. It would just make a truly awkward love interest, and the way she is, she's just that, she's your brooding lightning or cloud type character. You need that. Plus, for all you Star Wars nerds, she's full of midichlorians, and if you like midichlorians, then you'll like this character. Next is a character who I need just to be cool. That would be Kid from Chrono Cross, with that Australian accent and that cocksure attitude. Kid is just, she's in the party. He just needs that, I guess, that bit of arrogance for the party to move forward, get them in trouble, then, you know, get them out of trouble. And every RPG, of course, has that annoying character, you know, Mallow from Super Mario RPG and all that kind of stuff. And I would choose Choo Choo from Xenogears. I loathe Choo Choo. I also loathe Riki from Xenoblade Chronicles, but I already picked somebody from that game, so I went with Choo Choo. This character is always using Choo in places that it doesn't belong. Choo would hate this character and choose someone else in your party. That's how bad it is. That's what they try to do, to shoehorn the word Choo into everything. God. But one of their advantages, they do grow really big, and you know, if you're having a standard RPG party, a big character is never bad. Of course, I'm going to make my last one a free pick because I couldn't think of another archetype for the character I needed, but I just want Geno in there because, come on, I need Geno back. One of my favorite characters in JRPGs. This guy is so underutilized in Square or Nintendo properties that it's just insulting. I really wish he was able to be kept for Paper Mario, or at least Square would stick him and stuff, but you know, they all hate us. Now for the villains, of course, we got the sub-boss, the one that's going to be the main protagonist for most of the game until it is revealed that they are actually not. And I went to Lunar the Silver Star story, and that's Galleon. He is, you know, that guy who was a hero for most of the game that turns out to be like the big villain. He was originally the hero who went through the original, I guess, before the story starts. He was with the original big party with Dyne the Dragon. God, it's been a while since I played. I have it on my Switch. The Dragon something. Anyways, he is just one of those characters that at the beginning of the game you trust, and then you find out that he's the real boss. But whoa, hold on a second, because he's being manipulated by our real boss, who is your rival from the Pokemon Gen 1 series. Because let's be honest, we call him Gary because of the show. In reality, he's a super evil genius running things in the background. He's going to take his level 99 Charizard and fuck your day up, all while filling his Pokedex with your blood. So that's it. That is my party and my two main villains. I hope that satisfies you, Game Genius, because I spent a lot of time on that. Thank you very much. The next comes from The Big Deal. And he says, how many of the endings to Time Toggle have you reached personally? And have you ever tried to unlock them all within a single save file? I recently played the game in full and did a New Game Plus, taking a trip to the bucket after each new chapter, more or less, to get each of the endings. Then continuing from my last save. What's nice about the DS Steam iOS version is that it does track all the endings for you as unlockable. So once you get everything, my second playthrough started a new session to top it off with the Dream Project ending. I have gotten all the endings on the same Super Nintendo save file. Same thing. I went through the game once, and then the second time I would go through the game at every opportune moment. There is a portal to Lavos right at the beginning of the New Game Plus in the teleport pods at the Millennial Fair. So that's where I'd always enter. And if you beat the game with just Chrono and Marl, you, I think, get the best ending. But yeah, there's 12 total in the original, then the Dream Project ending, which I never actually got to. I have a save file on my DS. I'm working my way towards it. I know of it, and I know exactly what the Dream Project ending does. There are a lot of spoilers in that for Chrono Cross, so I'm not really going to talk about it, because I definitely think people should play Chrono Cross. But yeah, it's, you go in, essentially you get an extra super boss, and you get an extra ending from that, which kind of ties into, like I said, Chrono Cross. But yes, I have beaten all of them on the single save file on a Super Nintendo cartridge, and one day I will get that Dream Devour ending. Thanks, the big deal. Moving on to Mr. Hooley, who says, do you think horses get songs stuck in their head? I love this question simply because it's absurd, and it reminds me of something. Actually, because of you, I've had this song stuck in my head all week, Hooley, so I hate you. I don't really. But, so I grew up in the 80s, and there is still theme songs on TV and shows from the 70s, and one of them was Mr. Ed, the talking horse. A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course, unless, of course, the horse is a famous Mr. Ed. And that song, oh god, every time like YouTube started, or I can't remember where, we had albums of theme songs and stuff like that, and that was always on it. So if that horse can get a song stuck in my head, I'm pretty sure I can get a song stuck in a horse's head. So that's going to be a future challenge. So yes, I do believe they can get songs stuck in their head, Hooley. Thanks, buddy. Next up, is Fallen Snow Kiku, who says, howdy there, Brian. I'm currently playing Bravely Default on the Switch 2 and loving it. My question, since I know you're a fellow RPG junkie, is do you prefer more or fewer party members? Sometimes too many can get overwhelming with the stories and juggling equipment and stats and whatnot, but too few and it might not be enough. This has been a week of great questions. Not that they're not all great questions, but some of them really made me think. So, RPGs have this kind of weird balancing thing. The game has to be balanced to the amount of party members. Too many can make the game too easy. Too few can make the games too hard. The only thing I don't like about most RPGs, especially turn-based ones, is when you have a party system, but they make you go solo for a long time, because I always like the buffer of a second character, just, in case the first one bites it. Yeah, if you think about it, back in the Super Nintendo days, Final Fantasy let you pick 4 characters. Final Fantasy 3 went down to 3 characters. 4 went to 5. 5 went to 4. And then 6 as well went to 4 characters. Then they went 3 characters as kind of their traditional amount. That's kind of where I like it. I like the 3-character party. I always try to set my party up the same way. It's either one warrior, well, the staples are one warrior and one person who can heal. So if I have that, I'm happy, because I just like to have a beater party. Chrono Trigger, I'll have Ayla, Robo, and Chrono. Chrono has Luminaire and he just kicks ass. Robo has a healing spell, and Ayla just kicks ass herself because she has these 2 fists from the 65 million BC that just rocks people. Final Fantasy VI is a different beast because you can build your own party, and they're kind of black and white magic up, so everybody in Final Fantasy VI gets built up with healing spells and powerful black magic. But I also pick a party of strong warriors, so you always have Edgard with his tools, Sabin with his what are they called, the Street Fighter-esque type moves, and then you have, what's his name, Cyan or Shadow, because both of them with a Genji glove, especially Sabin as well with a Genji glove, those guys just fuck hard. And so all of them, they will get their espers, they'll get their healing spells and stuff like that, throw Terror or Celeste into the mix, and then bang, you got the ultimate party. But that one really handles the 4-party system well at the end. I'm not going to explain why. But if you go back to games like Final Fantasy IV, where you're kind of shoehorned in with your party, you have no choice. Well, that's just how it is. So I think the most recent example of my party development would be Xenoblade Chronicles, which I was just playing, and I used Shulk as the character I controlled, and then I had Ray as his beating buddy, and I loaded them up with all attacks as much as I could. There's no buffering or any other type of ability on Ray. He's just attack, attack, attack. And then I would have the girl whose name escapes me for some reason right now, the one with the gun. And she had a area healing attack, which is pivotal to my my plan because I needed that healer. So I would use the combo if I was in dire need, and I would use her area healing just to give everybody a bump, and it seemed to work out for me. So yeah, it's 3. I'm gonna go with 3 would be my answer. As long as I have one healer, one warrior, the other one's kind of a wild card. So yeah, that's I don't have a better answer than that. Thanks very much, Kiku, and great question. Moving on to Blue Yoshi 94. Blue Yoshi 94 says, what is the best and worst RPG/JRPG on the Switch Online? Also, which RPG/JRPG would you most like to be added to the Switch Online? Personally, I would like Mother 3. Would be a fun game. So I got a list of all the RPGs on NSO. You got Chrysalis, Breath of Fire 1 and 2, Super Ninja Boy, Fire Emblem The Sacred Stone, Golden Sun The Lost Age, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Paper Mario, Phantasy Star 4, Shining Force, and Shining Force 2. I think I got them all. I just kind of did a quick scan. I think the best games out of that lot would be Golden Sun 1 and 2. A lot of good memories with those games, plus I got the third game on the DS, so I have the entire trilogy, even though the third game's kind of just shoved in there. I think the worst games, and you can hear me on Retro Awards explain why, would be Breath of Fire 1 and 2. I loved them when I was young. Now that I'm older, not so much. And if I wanted a game added, well, I got the Switch too, so that opened up the door a little bit. So I want Skies of Arcadia added. I do have a copy of that on a GameCube right now. I'm not saying how it's on there, but it is on there. But it's probably one of my most wanted to play games that I missed out on. I think it was part of that RPG episode. I can't remember. I'd have to look at the list again. But that is my answers. Thank you very much, Blue Yoshi. And we're going to wrap it up with Sharkbite. So he asks, do you spell orange like the color or the fruit? Very philosophical. The fruit came first for sure. So the quick answer, the color, because I ain't letting no peel wearing piece of fruit tell me what a color is and what isn't. But a little history on it as well. The word first came in the English language from either the Spanish naranja or the more sexy Old French pomme d'orange, which is sexy because it sounds a lot like omelette de fromage, which is the sexiest way to say anything ever. So yes, that is my answer to your question. Thank you very much, Sharkbite, and thank you very much to everybody. It's always fun to answer these questions, and it always makes me think, especially, oh god, some of these questions this week were pretty big head scratchers. Yeah, so what have I been up to? That is the next segment I have written on my notes. Okay, so what have I been playing? Xenoblade Chronicles, I just rolled credits on that one. Expect to hear something about that, possibly with a special guest, in the near future. I've been playing Mortal Kombat. You'll hear about my joys, I think, when we get into the episode. Oh boy. Anyways, I did a playthrough and it didn't go well on my first one. Also, I've started Star Wars The Force Unleashed, and by started, I mean I've actually just downloaded that. Sam is highly recommending that I play it, and I guess I can play a Star Wars game. And of course, I've started Chrysalis, which will be an upcoming episode. I'm about 2 hours into Chrysalis. It is more fun than it looks on the box. It's on NSO, so if you want to try that out, you can. So that's everything. So before we get into the episode itself, we always like to give Alan the floor so we can enjoy that sweet British voice on what we call the Gentleman's Interlude.
In a world where buttons mean destruction and fatalities reign supreme. Get ready for the most bone-crunching, blood-splattering, jaw-dropping fighting experience ever to grace your puny mortal thumbs. It's Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis. Released on September 13th, 1993, a day forever burned into the history books as the one when Midway Games and Acclaim Entertainment unleashed an unholy storm upon the 16-bit battlefield. Developed originally by the mad geniuses at Midway, then ported to the Genesis by Probe Software, this was the game that told parents to hide their children and politicians to start sweating. With 7 vicious fighters, including the icy assassin Sub-Zero, the infernal ninja Scorpion, Thunder God Raiden, and the one-punch wonder himself, Johnny Cage. Mortal Kombat brought raw, unfiltered martial arts mayhem to the palm of your hands. But wait, this ain't no cutesy cartoon brawler. This is digitized violence turned up to 11, baby. Forget those other games with their pitter-patter punches. This is finish him territory, and you better believe it's personal. Want blood? Oh, you got it. While the Super Nintendo version whimpered into your living room with sweat and regulations, the Sega Genesis version lets you unleash the blood code. That's right, the mythical ABACABB cheat that turned the tame into the terrifying. Suddenly, every uppercut exploded into a fountain of pixelated carnage. This was the version your mom told you not to play. Go one-on-one against your friends or master the endurance matches in the single-player tournament mode, climbing the tower to face the shape-shifting sorcerer Shang Tsung and the 4-armed nightmare known only as Goro. Flawless victory. Fatality. Test your might. Every scream, crunch, and dragon-shaped fireball comes packed into that sweet Genesis cartridge. So what are you waiting for? Dig up that controller, blow the dust off that cartridge, and prepare yourself for the ultimate in 16-bit brutality. Mortal Kombat. Because in this world, there is no mercy, only the Genesis. Get over here! Rated MA-13 for violence. Your spine may not survive.
Thanks, Alan. Great as always. And now, before Alan, Sam, and myself get into the game, we have comments from our listeners, starting with Wildcard, who says, Mortal Wombat! I don't know. I play very few fighting games. Very, very well contributed comment, Wildcard. Hooli also yells Mortal Kombat, which I'm not going to do twice. This was the age when the video game had cool commercials. Let's go back to those times. That is true. Look up the commercial. It was really good. Raging Demon says, oh man, what a great game. Cough, SNES, cough, sucked, cough, cough. Man, okay, I'm going to start that one again. Oh man, what a great game. SNES sucked, cough, cough. This game really lit the fire and made me love fighting games. And he does love fighting games. Check him out on the command list. Spelt with a K like Mortal Kombat. He does a podcast that's mostly fighting games. Then we got Dylan Jacobson, who says, I played Mortal Kombat on the SNES as a kid, still like the OG character design a lot, was a Sub-Zero main for a lot of years. Sharkbite says, I've played this and own every Mortal Kombat game. It's the only fighting game I consider myself proficient in. My mains are Noob Sabat, or Tobias and Boone backwards, Scorpion, and Kano. I have most of the DLC too. Looking forward to a good chat, looking forward to the chat, good and bad. The Big Deal says, I had some great times renting the OG version of this and playing it at my cousin's house. The graphics, gameplay, and secrets seemed so revolutionary at the time, and we spent hours trying to meet certain conditions to fight. Tried to meet certain conditions of a fight to unlock a rumored character that never existed in the first place. Good times. Game Genius says, when I was 9, this game came out. My bro and I got the SNES version, and my buddy had the Sega. So needless to say, he got the better version, and we were definitely jealous. Nintendo and the sweat was serious low blow to us who had seen the graphic violence in those Sega commercials. Sega commercial voice, he says. My favorite character was always Raiden, mainly because he reminded me of that electric henchman from Big Trouble in Little China, and I thought he was cool. Fallen Snow Kiku says Mortal Kombat is one of those games I wish I was more into, if that makes sense. The one on Xbox 360 is one of the fighting games that I got as a teenager on the cheap, and it took over my life for a very few solid months, but none of the other entries have really hooked me. Man, I brutalized that. As she continues, I may pick up that collection coming out later this year and see if one of the older ones gets me. I've always kind of admired them. And finally, Guy Who Does Things says, I'm still chasing the high I felt the first time I successfully executed a fatality. Me too, buddy. All right, that is everybody. Thank you for writing in your thoughts. This was a great week of comments. I really loved it. But without further ado, we are going to get into the episode itself. So, this week we are talking Mortal Kombat, developed and published by Midway, released in 1992 in arcades, and September of 1993 on the SNES and Megasis. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoy the show. And with the intro out of the way, it is time to get into the game discussion with my two favorite players, Player 1 and Player 2. I'm not going to say who is who, but I'm going to go alphabetical order so they don't know which one I'm thinking. That's Alan and Sam. I almost went reverse alphabetical because I suck. Anyways, fellas, how you doing?
Do you know what? You said I'm going to go alphabetically, and I literally took a second to just think, hang on, who does that? Who's oh, it's me. Yeah, and I'm an idiot.
Take your fingers out. A, B, C, D. Oh, I'm out of fingers.
You mean I've got to take this thing out of my nose? You know, it was comfortable there. I am absolutely fantastic, Brian. We're talking about a fucking fighting game. Like, that's very new.
Yes, the first one on a main episode. I think I've done two quick plays.
Which is funny. I think we've... me and you, Sam, we talked about this early on, and we were like, we got to do Street Fighter 2. We got to do Street Fighter 2. That's going to be the first one. Here we are nearly 100 episodes in, and it turns out it's Mortal Kombat's our first game. We can't keep consistent to ourselves.
Right. I'm glad we picked this one,
we do what we want.
That's actually interesting debate, because usually people are like, you're either like a... I mean, I'm sure it's there's people that play everything for fighting games, but... You know, it's kind of that like Star Trek versus Star Wars debate. Like, are you Mortal Kombat or are you Street Fighter? So, which one are you guys?
Yeah.
If you could pick.
Yeah. If I could pick, I would be more Street Fighter than Mortal Kombat, personally.
Okay.
That is a tough one, because I kind of played a little bit of both back in the day, but I think I have more nostalgia for Street Fighter.
Interesting.
There was no Mortal Kombat arcade cabinets around where I was when I was young, but there was plenty of Street Fighter 2 ones, and I just remember like plopping your quarter down on the control console there and waiting your turn to get your ass kicked by the kid who was way too good.
Oh, I know a guy like that.
Oh yeah, everybody knows a guy like that. Mr. One Quarter, we called him.
So he was a real chode, huh?
We had this one little get-together once around a friend's house, and this one guy came over. I'll say his name, fucking Craig. Craig, you're not listening. If you're listening, you're a little too good at Mortal Kombat, dude. You suck. But just could not get the guy off of the console. It was Winner Stays On, and he stayed on the entire fucking night. It was impressive. It was impressive to see.
I bet you're all wondering which side of the Mortal Kombat Street Fighter fence I land on.
Nope. Next question.
You seem like a Mortal Kombat guy.
Yeah. And
how about this? How about Sam? Yeah. How about you start with your history of these two games, finishing off with Mortal Kombat, and then we'll get into Alan's history.
Two games meaning Street Fighter?
Yeah, a little bit about Street Fighter, but focus on the Mortal Kombat.
I'm bad at both of them.
Yep. That checks.
These were always like I don't think I had these games in my collection when I was a lad, but I was always fascinated by fighting games, and I liked all the characters and stuff like that. Like basically, especially in the arcades, man. Like the character select screen was like, oh man, I wonder what all of them do and like what all their backstories are and stuff like that. That was always fascinating. So Mortal Kombat was a renter for me, maybe, I think. Street Fighter definitely was. I remember like Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the Genesis and being bad at them, very bad at them. But I fall on the Mortal Kombat side. I think Mortal Kombat is a bit more accessible, especially like this game, for as challenging as it gets, and we'll talk about that, obviously. I think the combos are a little bit more accessible to kind of the pick up and play type players like myself. How about you, Alan?
I think it's a reasonable take. I mean, I played a hell of a lot more Street Fighter back in the day. It was just like something that we always kind of had around. Like there was even a soft play in the town that I lived in, and as kids we would like go there and just bounce around the room. And they had these monitors built into the wall with the controllers just sticking out, and I just sit there for ages playing Street Fighter 2. Mortal Kombat was definitely a series. Now I know we had one of them as kids, and I can't think which one it was, but I've always just kind of dabbled a little bit here and there with Mortal Kombat. I remember, again, one time at school we had like this, it was like a charity event in school where we had lots of different activities, and you paid a couple of quid, and you got to just engage with a bunch of games. And I remember we had Mortal Kombat 3 in school, and people were just taking turns doing a tournament and what have you, and nobody of any authority could have known what was going on that screen, because I can't imagine that would have been allowed had they known. And the same goes for like my mum letting us play this game. It's just like I can't imagine anyone had any idea what this game was all about, because I mean, to those in the know, this created a bit of a stir with regards to sort of one. Oh yeah, it basically changed the gaming landscape, really, with regards to rating things. But no, I thoroughly enjoy it. It's just Mortal Kombat just has, it's sort of almost a mythological edge to it that you can sort of see why it's become the franchise that it has.
Yeah, and this game was one of the games directly involved in the making of the ESRB board in North America, and I think it's PEGI over there. I don't know what it stands for.
PEGI. I have no idea. I shall have to look that up, Brian. Thanks for putting me on the spot.
Yeah, you should know more about your country, man.
Pegging is... oh, no, that's definitely the wrong page.
Looked up pegging, got Pornhub.
How did I get onto Sam's internet?
Why is there a live feed?
Well, it's interesting you guys bring up ratings, because on my copy, I think they must have kind of scrambled to make a rating for this game, because it was rated MA13, which is like a really freaking weird... Like MA for mature, and then 13, assuming 13-year-olds are mature. Like, who came up with that system?
Yeah, that was the early rating system, because they didn't really have anything to go off of. And it was rated MA13 because the blood was turned off, and then the Genesis had the the Akabada code or whatever it's called.
Yep.
It's currently my screen name.
Oh, yeah, ABACABB or whatever it was, and then that got you the blood, where the Nintendo, it's sweat.
I read somewhere that it's a nod to a Genesis song.
Genesis, the band.
The band, Genesis, not.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. But I don't know if that's true or not. But, I could see, like, someone working on this game being a Genesis fan, and you'd be like, well, we'll put a code in there and we'll make it this, because I like this song.
Yeah, that checks there. Alan, do you want to take a crack at the story, or do you want me to, use the wiki I have open?
The Wikipedia. I'll have a go. So, Other Realm is a nasty fucking place full of nasty fucking people, and I can't remember how many years it is, but every however many years there is a tournament between realms where this Goro, I'm doing a horrible job already. Like, way to put me on the spot. So Goro, Shang Tsung's champion, has won this tournament 9 times. To win it a 10th time will mean the complete and utter control over Earthrealm, and obviously that's not going to be good for anyone. So a plucky group of just random fighters, they've all got their own stories, of course, as they always do in a fighting game, which is nice. It's, it's not necessarily necessary. Just I want to pick the yellow one and go beat people up. That's all I need to know. But yeah, so they're basically banded together to fight the champion of the other side, other realm, to save our one. I don't know, Brian. How did I do?
Pretty much, you nailed it.
Oh, nice.
Little nuances. Like you said, everybody has their personal story. So the gist of it you got, and I guess the big thing is, as long as Goro doesn't win, then Shang Tsung can't take over Earthrealm. So
yeah.
The cool thing on all these characters, I'm looking at my game manual that came with my copy, and it's set up almost like trading cards, where you could if you wanted to, like, cut these out and make them into cards. Each character has like age, height, weight, legal status. So like Kano was deported from Japan and is a wanted criminal in 35 countries. Like, they've all got like their backstories and then a little bit more information on the back. And it
Nice.
gives each of them one of their special moves. It kind of seems like some of the stuff was just kind of left for you to figure out on your own, and they left blanks in this manual to like write down shit that you figured out, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, because looking at the instruction manual, it doesn't really give you much in the way of moves and combos and things like that. So you really do have to and I think that's kind of a point in favour of the longevity of this game. It's just like, there was a sense of excitement and achievement when you figured something out and pulled off a move that you'd never seen before, and you're just like, oh shit, how did I do that? Because, I mean, if you're anything like me, you'll never figure it out, because I was a button masher all day long. But it's nice. I like to say, you don't need to have a story for all of these characters to have a fighting game, but it's nice that so many of them do just give you just that little bit, just to sort of like, well, why are all these people here? I mean, they're here to fight.
I've always found the story in like Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat to be kind of funny when you go through with the characters. Like, it's nice that every character has a reason to get to the end, but the reality is they give like a hint of the story at the beginning, or you read it in the manual, and then you don't actually get any conclusion until you beat the final boss and get the ending. The middle part is just, they have to beat up 7 other people, 8 if you include themselves.
Yeah, which makes absolutely no sense. And it's like, well, if all of these people are defending Earthrealm, why am I fighting all of these people? Why don't we just gang up on Goro and have done with it?
Right, like, why are we having a tournament
much
to see who can get their ass kicked by Goro? Like,
my God, if he wins this tournament, he gets to take over everything. Let's do this separately, guys. That's the best way.
Let's narrow this down so there's only one of us left.
Yeah.
And whoever's left is also tired and beat up because you had to fight through everyone.
Definitely.
And that's funny, too, because it's like, it's not even a tournament. It's just a ladder. Like, if it were a tournament, you would only fight like a couple of matches.
Yeah, and like a playoffs tournament.
It's
like you got a bracket there.
That is not a tournament. That is just fighting everyone, and then fighting them again, and then fighting the boss, basically.
Yeah, it's just one person working their way up this ladder while everyone above just chills out.
Right. Oh, it's my turn? Okay. Yeah, take it in.
Oh my God, I've been asleep for like 3 days. What took you so long to get here?
How far has he gotten? Johnny Cage? Yeah, no, I'm good for a bit.
All right. Speaking of Johnny Cage, let's talk about the 8 playable characters. I guess a little bit about them. Like, Johnny Cage, I think, was modeled after Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
And
that
his
tracks.
kind of movesets were from Bloodsport.
Yeah, it's all that very sort of high kick, very flexible, sort of very Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, Liu Kang was obviously Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if anyone else was modeled. I think Sonya was modeled after somebody. Or
That's a good
maybe
point.
she's just a generic tough woman.
Well, let me see what her story is here, because each one says
She's
like Johnny Cage was like a movie star.
he's a conceited movie star trying to ignite his movie career. General Sonya Amanda Blade is a soldier who was a member of Earthrealm's Special Forces unit known as Outer World Investigation Agency.
Well, that's
Yeah, so they're really stretching for something. I mean, if we knew about this Outer Realm or Outer World, I mean, you'd think you'd have more than just a secret special unit.
right.
Maybe
Yeah,
send in a whole army.
I was just say we've got this entire unit. Let's send Son. And to be fair, Sonya Blade is a beast. Not taking anything away from that, but
She was the last character added to the game because they had extra time and they got a little bit of extra money. So they threw in an 8th character, and that was why you got Sonya, and that's the only woman in the game, which is kind of sad.
was that right? I did not know
Yeah.
that.
Well, I was reading up on it this week.
Oh wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, also, okay, you also have Kano or Kano, I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. He's a cyborg human being from Japan. He's a leader of the Black Dragon clan and a ruthless scoundrel and arms dealer. Wow. Yeah, they're not really trying hard at these stories. Anyways, he's the arch nemesis of Sonya Blade, so, it makes sense that he's fighting on the same side as her. Technically.
Yeah, absolutely. Why did she she's just gonna go after him, surely?
Yeah, it would make sense. Like, if he fought her first, like, he's done. Why not just fuck off? Like, oh, well. Anyways,
I got what
next
I
up
wanted.
you have Liu Kang. And, what's his story? He's Chinese. He's a former Shaolin monk and the undisputed champion of the Mortal Kombat tournament. And he is the eternal god of fire, protector of Earthrealm, and the former keeper of time. Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Wow, that is
all
quite
that, and
the
he's only
resume.
24.
Yeah, seriously. Meanwhile, I'm in my 40s, and I haven't accomplished half that much.
He's gonna be
Hang
one
on.
of those like top achievers under 30. Like,
But if Liu Kang is the undisputed champion,
why are we
Then-
doing
Of
this?
Earthrealm. Of Earthrealm, not of the other world.
Oh, that's
okay. I
that's
was gonna
true
say,
because some
like-
of these guys come from the Mystic Realm or whatever, right?
Yeah, and that, like Raiden, who is a Japanese/Chinese, or I guess maybe he's not Japanese-Chinese. Maybe I'm just actually reading.
I think he's just like an agnostic. Like, it's
Yeah,
just,
I
he's
think
just
I
a-
got some of the characters wrong because I'm reading a wiki to kind of look at these, and it says their name, then it says Japanese, and I just noticed it's actually just showing you how their name is spelt with the kanji characters. So maybe I should have done a little prep for this. But anyways, Raiden, he's what is he? He's the eternal god of thunder. He's being one of the most memorable characters in this game or this genre. I think he has something to do with Johnny Cage and Liu Kang entering the tournament, if I remember correctly. Then he just joins himself.
I'll be honest, like most of my knowledge of the story of Mortal Kombat comes from the movie, and
Yeah.
we will talk about the movie a little bit later on because I think we kind of have to rope that in.
Yeah, I wish you
It's
guys
such-
told me you were going to do that. I would have watched it.
such a
No,
good
I
movie.
li-
I haven't
lit-
seen it since the 90s.
I'm literally
come
just
on.
thinking of it now, but listen, guys, to anyone who's listening, like, if it sounds like we're struggling, then fighting games are not our forte. And at the end
No.
of the day, I mean, this is literally just a way to get these 8 characters into a tournament together. So it's just like, if we get the lore, I mean, I think a lot of the world building and the lore work happened sort of post Mortal Kombat 1. Like, and it has
That's
gone on
pretty
it's-
much true.
It's gone crazy. So do you know what? We'll approach this as the layman that we are and just talk about how much fun it is just to beat people up.
Yeah. But we'll just get the last 2 characters out of the way really quickly because they're basically the same thing. Yeah, Scorpion and Sub-Zero. They're enemies. Sub-Zero shoots ice. Scorpion was killed by Sub-Zero and is seeking revenge. That's about it.
That's
Then
pretty
you got
awesome.
the bad guys, Goro and Shang Tsung, and then a secret hidden character, which we'll get into later.
Oh, is
What
there a
is,
secret hidden character in Mortal
Is
Kombat
it Bill
1?
Clinton?
is.
No, it's Reptile. Jesus.
No, I'm kidding. I know.
Okay, like...
I was making an NBA Jam joke.
Oh,
Also an
okay.
Acclaim game. Yeah.
We got to play that one. Anyways,
Yeah.
we're off topic because it's a fighting game. Okay, Raging Demon hosts the what's it called, Commandless podcast, and he is a huge fighting fan. I don't know how he does it. Alan, you saw me play this game briefly on like the Discord streaming thing there because I thought it would be fun just to do that.
Sure did.
And I lost every fight and got angry. Like
No, I think you won one round. I'm sure.
Oh, I won one round, yeah. But I was so fucking angry at this game. It reminded me why I don't play fighting games anymore. And mostly that comes down to one called Bloody Roar for the PS1, I believe. And that game pissed me off so bad. It was the first time I actually snapped a controller from just white-knuckling the thing out of anger.
Jesus.
You animal.
So,
That's amazing.
yeah, this game just brought back up that like that pit of like hate that I have for fighting games inside me, even though I actually have good memories of these games when I was younger. So I've crested this hill and now I'm coming down the other side and I can never go back up that hill and enjoy fighting games again. Which is why I don't play the Dragon Ball Z fighting games, even though I really, really like Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, those are good though.
Oh, those are really
mean-
fun.
Those are really fun.
I'm not talking the Xenoverse
No,
and stuff like that. I'm
No,
talking,
I know. Just Budokai.
Yeah, Fighter Z and stuff like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
But talking Mortal Kombat, I mean, this is definitely a game that I was better at as a kid, and I think that goes for fighting games in general. I don't know what it is because I used to really enjoy fighting games, and it just seems that these days I've just really dropped off of them, and I'm not entirely sure why, because it's nothing that the genre has done. You know, I think I just actually to an extent fear them because I just know I'm not good enough. And
especially now that they're online.
oh god, listen, I would never play a fighting game against a real life human.
No.
I mean, I played this, and you know, I managed to beat it, and you know, I felt pretty good about myself. But as soon as you get me up against a human player, I'm just like, no, it's not going to happen. That's when I will get the rage because I'll get absolutely smoked.
Yeah.
But they were a good time as kids, you know, especially a game like Mortal Kombat, because this was a game that like you would play and then you would talk about the next day because it just had something special. And I mean, it was definitely the violence, it was definitely the gore. I mean, the characters, you know, they're great. They're pretty iconic. I don't know that this game does quite as well as it does if it's not for Sub-Zero and Scorpion. I think they really just sort of go on. Sam.
Because other than that, it's just like 3 different shirtless dudes.
Yeah,
like,
and
What's
and
wrong
Sonya.
with that?
Nothing, but it's like Johnny Cage and Liu Kang are pretty boring sprites. I mean, I like the I mean, what do you call that when it's when they're rendered like the way they are? Fuck. I can't make smart words right now.
It's not rotoscoped.
It kind
It's
of
not
is. It's the same
close.
concept, yeah. But they're like
Stop
3D
motion?
rendered. What do you call that when you put all the little balls on yourself and then you
Fuck!
Motion
Now
capture.
that you
motion cap? Yeah, they're mocap. Mocap.
But,
there we
but
go.
Mocap
We
didn't
got
exist
there.
back then.
I know, but it was something like they were fully, pretty much like, you know, rendered and animated so well. It's just like even on the Genesis and on the Super Nintendo, which are, you know, inferior versions to the arcade cabinet, because arcade cabinets were way ahead of consoles in the day. Like, this looks so good, and like Mortal Kombat started things. Mortal Kombat 2 is really where, they add characters and you get more ninjas with all kinds of different colors and characters that have
Oh yeah, you gotta love the
fucking
copy
robots
paste
and-
style of this game. We need a new character. I need it fast. All right, let's just take Sub-Zero, copy paste, make him purple. Next game.
That's right.
It's true, but it works because those characters are just so iconic. And as a little sidebar, while we're talking about the animation of this game, like, have you guys actually seen the behind the scenes of this game being made?
No.
No, but when you beat the game, you can see the credits of like who played which, like actual actors played the characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they are all exactly in those costumes, and they are exactly acting out those moves, and they've literally just been taken from real life.
Ho Sung Pak, who played Liu Kang, did not want to shave his head for the role, so they added hair to him.
Nice.
To the character.
See?
Oh yeah, because he was a monk, so like he would have had to shave his head like that. Yeah,
that's right. And as another little funny aside, you can actually find online the outtakes from those sessions, and it's actually pretty funny. I'll have to send it over to you guys, but it's just so adorably basic, and yet such an iconic look for this game.
Yeah,
because they do look so real, and I don't think we'd seen anything quite like that up until that point.
Oh, absolutely not. No. It is probably one of the most impressive parts of this game, but like considering how small the game is when you really think about it, I mean, there's not a lot of levels, there's not a lot of characters. Makes sense that you could put the extra time into the modeling of the characters themselves, and then you just got to turn them into sprites, which,
sure.
It takes a lot of time, and then you just got to make the different sprites for their different moves, and that's how you get such crisp looking visuals on the Genesis and what we got on the Super Nintendo, which is not as crisp.
Right.
Which, speaking of which, I mean, you guys both played it on the Megasis, as we call it around here now.
Yay!
Thank you, Alan. But yeah, you guys played it on the Megasis, and I played it on the Super Nintendo, so I'm obviously getting the inferior version of this, but at the same time, I get the one with more buttons. Therefore, I have a high kick, a low kick, and then a block button. Like, it's a 5-button system where you guys have the 3-button system. How does that change?
Well, not if you have a 6-button Genesis controller.
Oh, you actually worked with the 6-buttoner?
I don't have one, but that's basically the accepted way to play fighting games on the Genesis is to make sure you have a 6-button controller.
Yeah, but did all games, like, did this game actually work with the 6-button controller, or was it before it became common knowledge? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it did.
There you go. So a 3-button controller, you just kind of have half the attacks, I suppose.
Well, yeah,
does
there
that
was some
affect
overlap.
your moves, though?
A little bit. I played with a 3-button, so...
Well, I'm asking because some of the moves on the Super Nintendo required you to alternate between either a high punch, high kick, or a low punch, low kick, and if you can only have either a high punch or a low punch... I mean, some of the moves would be... Go ahead.
I suppose it simplifies the combos because, I was playing on a 3-button. I mean, so you've got what the A button was punch. I know C was kick. I can't think what B was now though.
B was the start button was block, which fucking sucks.
Start button. I know, right?
Oh fuck! Like, we got a controller. We're gonna use the whole controller.
Yeah,
but I want to pause my game.
There is no pause.
No, there's no pause. Like once you're, I found that out the hard way because I was like, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm just gonna pause the game real quick, and it's like he just kept blocking when I was hitting start. I was like, oh, we're fucking locked in. Like as soon as that ladder starts, you are not getting up until you're dead.
That's exactly right.
That or you poo your pants.
You're right. The only way you're getting out of here is by winning, and if you're not winning, you're dead.
The stakes have never been higher.
Right.
But yeah, it's I found it controlled pretty well. Although I must admit, like, and I don't know if this is maybe a difference in like I don't know the technical side of things. I don't know about hertz. I know over here we're 50 hertz and you're over there you're 60 hertz or whatever, but like watching you play Mortal Kombat, Brian, like it did look a little bit faster than what I was playing, and that's probably went a long way towards me getting as far as I did.
Maybe. I don't think it'd make a huge difference because a hertz is just how many times a picture cycles in a second.
Well, I mean, it looked a lot smoother, and maybe that's what made it look so much faster. But
Yeah, but I don't know. I still found the game very sluggish in comparison to like Street Fighter 2. I find Street Fighter 2 is a lot quicker and feels more responsive than this game. But
maybe
I was playing an emulated version, so it's kind of, I can't really comment on that simply because maybe I just had a delay in the emulator. But I found it very slow. I might try the Genesis or Megasis version of this so that I can compare the two. It's weird that you say you found it faster.
Well, it's just how it looked while I watched you play it. And bear in mind, like, I'd played it myself not too long beforehand, and it's just like, if they were side by side, maybe there's very little difference. I don't know, but it, like you say, it's not the quickest of games in the world. It's quite not slow, but a bit more ponderous than some of the other games. And I guess, we are comparing it as well with games that came out, much later. I mean, fighting games now are just fucking ridiculous. You look at have you seen some of this high-end tournament stuff?
I can't even. Yeah.
I do not have the reaction time for that.
No.
Yeah.
At all.
It's almost like
you're so old there that when they jump and kick you, like you put the controller down, you pull out your reading glasses, you put the controller up, you look at the lettering, and
yeah. Hold on, I want to
button.
press A, B, B. No. Some of those like the high-end fighting game, like tournament fighting games. It's almost like people are playing so fast and have their strategies on lock. It's almost more like playing rock paper scissors. Like it says fight, and then you enter your combos, or you do what you're gonna do, and you might overcome your opponent, you might not. It just depends on who picks what strategy and when, and it all happens in like a split second.
Yeah, it's like a chess match. I open with
Right.
the demon maneuver, and they counter with the Kang maneuver, and then it just goes back and forth until somebody topples the king. And
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but
It's
yeah,
insane.
It is not me.
yeah, 90% of my fighting time was spent getting punched in the face. So block or do whatever, it didn't really matter. I took another crack at it this morning, and it was the same thing. I'd get into the game there, and I'd beat nobody. So I can't really comment on the game beyond my memories of it. But yeah, it just, I don't know what it is. Like, I've lost any touch I had at fighting games ever, and I'm not sad about that, I'd have to say.
I'd have to say, fighting games aren't my main, focus, but anytime I get into one, I seem to have a good time. So maybe I need to play some more, because I've covered Primal Rage I did on a quick play, and I did that Power Rangers shitty fighting game on a quick play, and it's like, they're not the greatest games, but they're pretty fucking fun when you get down to it, and they're kind of fun just to like pick up and play for a few minutes. So I don't know, maybe I am a fighting game fan, deep down.
Closeted fighting game fan.
Even though I suck.
Oh,
it's okay, Sam. This is the month to come out of that fighting game closet.
It is. I'm proud of my fighting game fandom.
I am a huge fighting game fan. Like, It is the one genre of game that I wish I was better at, because there's just so much fun to be had. It's like it's maybe slightly less so than puzzle games, but it is gaming at its purest form. It's just like, there's an enemy, you've just got to beat them up and win. There's nothing complex about the concept of a fighting game. It's rock'em sock'em robots. It's like boiled down to its purest form. But it's just, I love watching high-end fighting game stuff and just wishing I could play half as good as that. Having played this just recently, like I have to, it's given me a little bit of a bug. I've got to be honest. I think I might need to.
Yeah, I did too.
I think I might need to try and crest that Everest there, and see if I can't I
See if
don't
you can
know.
find the side I'm on right now, where you never want to play another one.
No, I'm just gonna stand tall on the top of Mount Get Good.
I
So you mentioned something good
Yeah.
there, Alan, and it was about how this is like the purest form of gaming. And it's a great point, which is what makes this a great arcade game. And I think that's probably why I have a difficult time getting back into them, is because I constantly say I'm a story-centric person. I like the story of a game.
No, it's no
And
secret.
I just played Xenoblade Chronicles, and it has this amazing story. You go to this game where, like I literally said, you get like a bit of a backstory at the beginning, and then you get nothing until you beat the final boss. So it doesn't feed that itch.
I guess, but then it doesn't really need to. I mean, a fighting game is just, it's fine if you just want to have, I don't know, whatever, 8 characters just beating the shit out of each other. That's what you're here for. You know, if they decide to give you a little bit extra, then great. They're never going to, like, at least back in the 90s, they're never going to make that much effort about it. It's just like, well, this is one random awesome dude. This is one random awesome chick. They're doing things that are random and awesome, and they've all come together to kick some ass. And it's just like, great. Okay, that's
Yeah, but-
all I need to know.
Yeah, back in the 90s, I didn't need the story because I was still, early into my RPG-ness, and having games that fed that dopamine level, or altered my dopamine levels to make me happy, were great. So I did like pick up and play games, and that's what fighting games are pretty much, is pick up and play.
Absolutely. And that
Do a
speaks,
run.
that speaks to how gaming has changed over the years as well. Because if you look at Mortal Kombat these days, I mean, the depth of lore behind like everything is just almost impenetrable. And that speaks to how tastes have changed over the years, and like people do expect a little bit more out of the story. And we're all sluts for the lore, and it's just, we didn't need that back then. We just needed a couple of dudes just wailing on each other and give us some blood,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is something that again, Mortal Kombat is a bit of a trailblazer for, because this level of violence on a home console was very fresh and very edgy. And if there's one thing I remember about the 90s, we were all about things that were cool and edgy.
Yeah.
And this game really sort of leapt on that fucking zeitgeist in a big way.
Really sparked outrage, like in the at least here. I think obviously the fact that we had I'm assuming that, I think the arcade came out first and had blood.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, it did.
as they were porting it to consoles, that's when people were like, you hear they're coming out with this, awful Mortal Kombat game, and it's going to have blood in it, and it's going to be on your home television. It's just like, well, obviously it was in the code of the game, but they kind of, on the Genesis at least, they hid it behind a cheat code that you could put in.
Sure.
Which I did. I don't like playing without it. I love playing with it.
Well, you need the blood. If you're going to rip somebody's spine out and it's sweat, fuck that.
Oh God, I love the fucking fatalities are so great.
I mean, let's get into that, because that really is the elephant in the room, isn't it? That's like,
Yep.
that's what we want to talk about. I mean, we'll get into some of the other shit later on, but the people came for blood. Let's give them blood. Fatalities are just fantastic. Like, can you remember the first time you saw a fatality on a Mortal Kombat game? It was just like, fucking wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
What
think
the
it was
hell?
at the arcade when the bigger kid knew how to do it and just, like, ripped my spine out.
Yeah, like, I'm going to kick your ass, and then I'm going to fucking rip your spine out.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
it
reading
is
up on the
so
fatalities. The reason they had the fatalities, or they're added, was because the developers didn't like the dizziness mechanic of like Street Fighter, where you kind of get the birds flying around your head for a little bit. They
Yeah.
thought that was kind of dumb, so
I agree.
they threw it in this game at the end of it so that you could do the fatality as kind of a way to add it without actually adding it into the fighting.
Right, so it doesn't fuck up the fighting. It's just like a fun extra thing to pull off.
Yeah.
And actually, it's worth points. So it kind of works if you're someone who's like chasing for the high score on an arcade cabinet, or you want to punch your name into a cartridge, or or type in ass. You know, that's the most fun thing to do.
Yeah. Oh my god, I literally did that 2 days ago, and I'm 40
Yeah.
years old.
I just think
I'm
of
not
that
I was
even
playing
joking.
Tony Hawk with a buddy, and the first
Yeah.
thing he did when we had the high score was put in ass, and that was the name for the rest of the weekend.
I just
I love it.
I think of that Futurama where Fry slowly types in ass, and then just goes. But where I was going with that is like it works into the game. It works with the game so well because you get like I don't know, you get a pretty obscene amount of points for a fatality, and then there's also a flawless victory, and there's all kinds of like different added things where if you're chasing a high score, there's ways to rack up. If you're really, really good, there's ways to rack up a lot of points really quickly.
No doubt. But I mean, points aside for just a moment, I mean, if you're playing against somebody, a human being, and you absolutely dominate them on Mortal Kombat, and then pull out a fatality to cap things off, I mean, that is
Right.
a power move right there. I mean, that is the biggest amount of disrespect that you could
Yeah.
just bestow on someone. It's just like they're just the punctuation mark there. It's just like,
Right, it
go
is.
fuck yourself.
It's
Take
like
your spine with you.
It's like those football players who like stop on the end zone and do like a backflip into the end zone because they've burned everyone so bad. Like
Exactly. It's just, and you can't deny it. It's just like, yeah, I got smoked. Like, all right, fair enough. But there's such a great feature in the game.
One of my
Really
favorite
sets it
fatalities.
apart.
Definitely iconic
Yeah.
part of the franchise, which set it apart from its competitors.
Big
And one of my
time.
favorite fatalities is one that is pretty easy to do as long as you're in that. There's that kind of like stone bridge stage.
Yep.
Anytime when you hear finish him, all you have to do is do an uppercut, and then they just fall onto the bed of spikes below.
Nice.
But you don't have to
Yeah, I remember
input
that.
anything. That's like the one that's the easiest to do because you don't have to do any sort of button input.
I mean, I found the fatalities in this game fairly easy to pull off for the most part. Although, you know, a lot of them weren't maybe as impressive as I remembered, which leads me to think that the games that I played as a kid were probably like 2 and 3 for the most
They
part.
were, yeah, for sure. Because I actually looked up a Let's Play of this, and then it went right into Mortal Kombat 2 as soon as it was done, and it's like, oh my god, Mortal Kombat 2 was such a jump. There's more characters, the graphics are way better. They added so much more, like, you know, fatalities and goofy shit. You know, like this game never took itself too seriously. Like, for example, when like some of the fatalities of like Reptile taking his mask off and then he had like a lizard head and shit like that. Like it all looked so cartoony and goofy, but it just I can't imagine Mortal Kombat without that.
No, they just lent into it because, you know, they kind of caught lightning in a bottle with the first one. They're just like, well, shit, you know, this game has not only sold pretty well, which I assume it did. I've got nothing to back that up, but, you know, we're still talking about it now, so it must have done. It sold well. You know, it created so much controversy, and, you know, say what you will, but there is, you know, that phrase, there's no such thing as bad press, you know, really does hold true for a game like this. I mean, that controversy,
God, yeah.
it really sort of fed into this game's mythos.
The second they said there was blood, or they started saying like the blood is going to make people turn into murderers, is the second this game was like a top seller.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and look at other franchises or like attempts at fighting game franchises that just kind of died on the vine. Like there was supposed to be a Primal Rage 2, and like Primal Rage is awesome. Like you get like these 3D rendered dinosaurs and apes and just beat the fuck out of each other. Like that is great. That is Mortal Kombat with dinosaurs. And they basically, yeah, I think they made a second one, but it was like not widely released and never made it to consoles or something like that. And the same thing with like Killer Instinct. Like Killer Instinct was fucking cool too, and that was another one that I think there's a second one or there's, you know, maybe a bit of a series there, but it never took off like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter.
No. Kids should not be allowed to play Mortal Kombat. made every kid want to play Mortal Kombat.
Absolutely. It's like,
Well,
and you shouldn't smoke weed either.
What was his name? Jack Thompson is around the era where he was starting to get his soapbox out so that he could go after every type of video game. Back when he was trying to sue Grand Theft Auto 3 for being too violent, I think he was all about this game as well, because, you know, it's very important for rich lawyers to tell us what we can and can't handle for violence.
Yeah,
thank God he's gone.
Shithead politicians and shithead religious leaders would always lock onto. They'd have their lists of, like, you know, top 10 most wanted violent games. It'd be like Mortal Kombat, and, you know, like you said, you know,
these are the same people that saw that there was a internet browser on, like, the PSP, and they called it the porn machine. It's like, oh, your kid's got an iPhone? Well, they're going to be able to access porn because there's internet on it, not like your home computer where there's internet on it.
Well, remember that story about how I bought that 3DS from that retro shop? It was loaded with porn.
No, you never sold us that story.
Yeah,
At least
I
not
did.
me.
I remember I did.
You
It was like,
did.
yeah, I was trying to wipe the memory on it, so I, like, went into the browser. Like, the entire history was porn.
Oh, fuck.
Sam's just there like,
The legends are
Jackpot.
true.
Yeah, I was like, all right. I knew I got this one for a reason.
Fuck.
I don't know. It's such an easy target, isn't it? It's just like some horrible thing happens in the world, and it's either
look how this
violent
game
video
paved-
games, rock and roll,
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson, and it's just like, oh, okay.
But look how this game paved the way for, like, current media. Like, it's part of that that 90s thing where, you know, violence was considered a taboo in movies and video games, but we've progressed, and now, yeah, you can have something super violent because people aren't like, oh my God, this is totally real and happening. But, you know, it's because of games like this. It's because of, like, those 80s movies that were R-rated where somebody loses an arm that we can desensitize ourselves and not be such cowards. So now all we have to look out for is a accidental titty popping out.
Right.
Which
That's where
does
the
not
danger is.
does not happen in Mortal Kombat. So,
Exactly, which is why the new games can be super violent and nobody cares.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as no one's porking each other, you can.
Yeah, exactly.
You can rip a spinal
slice them in
column out.
half, and have you guys seen some of the fatalities in the latest games?
No, I've
Not in
I've
the
paid
latest ones.
zero attention.
Are they cool?
They are absolutely fucking ridiculously, like, hats off for the creativity, because some of them are just absolutely, like, how the fuck do you think of that? But they are brutal.
You get a room full of people who are game developers, who are probably some of the most depraved people on the planet, sitting there talking about how they'd kill their bullies.
Yeah,
That's how you get that.
they're almost as depraved as podcast hosts.
Yeah, almost,
That's true.
almost. Definitely no enemies on my list.
Who do you guys? I guess the term is main, but who do you
your
guys
main?
like play as?
I've been waiting for this question. Let's start with Brian, because Brian is the most successful of all of us at this game.
Am I the most successful?
No.
How am I the most successful?
You're not. I was being
No,
facetious.
my main is the start button at the beginning, and after that, everything goes downhill. So, if I had to pick a character, I actually picked Scorpion was the one. I started with
Okay.
Johnny Cage just to kind of get a feel for the controls, but Scorpion was the one I wanted to go through.
Attaboy.
Because I like how he just so calmly and nicely says, "Get over here for a hug."
Yeah.
Get
I
over
need that
here.
human contact.
It's-
Very friendly
Come on.
fella.
Get over here.
Oh, you get over here. Come on. Sam.
I am a Sub-Zero guy. I would spam that ice attack and then calmly saunter up to my opponent and just punch. So
that
and
is-
rinse and repeat.
It is so overpowered, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
a
it is.
wonderful move.
But yeah,
Wonderful.
but Scorpion is a great choice too. And I'd say my honorable mention, but his move set kind of sucked for the way that my controller is mapped, because I have the 3-button Genesis controller. Kano is actually pretty good. He's got a distance attack with that knife throw, and then he has that cannonball thing where he, like, turns himself into a little ball and launches himself. and I think if you hit it right, that cannonball attack will actually go up and over Scorpion's like get over here thing and Sub-Zero's ice beam. Like you can kind of avoid it that way and then hit them. Yeah.
Wow.
I read that, but I never pulled it off because the start button is block and Kano's moveset is like very block based. Like you have to be holding the block button to do a bunch of shit, and it just doesn't work out. Especially when you have to
Alan,
reach over to the start. Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be one of the ninjas, hasn't it? But no, I am Scorpion all the way. I don't know why. Like for a start, like he's easily the coolest character, and I would argue probably the most iconic. I mean, because everyone knows "get over here." You know, it's just so fucking cool. And being able to like harpoon someone from the complete opposite side of the screen, bring them to you, and that little stun that they have that just lets you just give them that right proper uppercut there. That is just a wonderful combo. And not least, you know, the guy can teleport from one side of the screen to the other. I mean, that's
loved that. Yeah.
That's not my character. He couldn't teleport.
Well, get good.
And that's not his fault. That's my fault.
That was I found that you could do that as long as you weren't over to like either end of the, I don't know what you call it, like stage or whatever. If you're kind of towards
if your back's against the wall, yeah, you can't
right. Like it's almost like obviously I'm not like some sort of like programmer, although I did figure out how to play some shit on my Steam Deck, so like I'm kind of a programmer, but I would imagine that it needs like a certain amount of space to execute like the animation for it, and if you're back up against the end of the stage, then it just can't do it. So it kind of sucks. Like if that's like something that's in your move set, you got to make sure that you're controlling the space of the battle so that you stay in the middle.
I mean, you could argue that for just about anyone's moves, though. You have to be in the right place to pull it off properly. But I mean, Scorpion is my guy. He's the guy I took right to the end of the game and beat it with. And I love that fucking fatality as well, where he just pulls off his mask and it's just like he's just got this giant skull head and just spits fire and just
that's so fucking
burns
cool.
him to a crisp, and it's just so cool.
Were you able to pull that one off
as well? The fatality.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The one where he breathes fire.
Yeah, you only have to like press up twice. Like if you hold down block and press up twice, and you're just in that sweep distance, like you'll hit it every single time. It's literally the easiest fatality to pull off.
Yeah, Sub-Zero's was like it's like forward down forward or down forward down or something like that, and then the jab button or like the punch button, but it didn't always work for me.
No, there was some where I was just like dancing in front of them and then they fell over.
Yeah. Or
so
like
you guys
or you give them like
the,
some weak little punch, like you're trying to like rip their spinal cord out, and instead you're just like
just slap them. Sorry, go on.
What did
Brian.
you guys think of the level design, like the actual fighting arenas?
That's a good question, actually. I know, right? It's just, I mean, you spend so much time focusing on the characters themselves, but, I mean, I thought they looked fantastic. I mean, you could see what was going on, and there was a huge amount of variety in the different stages. I mean, you know, I wouldn't say they were necessarily anything special, but, you know, they got the job done. They had that sort of dank, doomy and depressing sort of feel to them that I think really fit the style of the game.
Yeah, they were for the era, and like considering they built this game in a year, I think they actually were pretty good.
Is that it? A year?
Yeah, I think it was a year. It wasn't a long development cycle, and it was only 4 people who made this game.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Nuts. I think my favorite stage, just because of what you can do, is that bridge where you can uppercut someone off of it. Because I just think that's so much fun, and it's easy to do. But like other than that, visually, I really like that one where Shang Tsung is like on the throne in the background watching, and you can tell he's just like laughing as he's watching these guys fight to the death.
I made them do that.
I made them do that. That's a fun one.
That guy was a fucker as well. If you get to his fight, because he just transforms into like every other fighter, or just picks a random one, transforms it, and it's just like All right.
I didn't get to him. I I got
Oh,
as far
neither
as
did I.
Goro. And the weird thing is, because at first it kind of took me by surprise, because when you climb the ladder, okay, so you have to fight every character, plus the last one is always the mirror match against yourself. And then there's a set of, is it 6 or 3? But there's a fair number of, they call them like endurance matches, where you have to fight through 2 characters, and those are tough.
Sure.
So then you fight through those, but then the last endurance match, when you beat the last endurance match, Goro just drops in. It doesn't go back to the ladder screen or anything. He just drops right in and starts kicking the shit out of you.
That's true.
It's like, holy shit. And he doesn't fuck around. Like, even on the easiest settings, he's like, he does this thing where he like picks you up and shakes you and like does all kinds of crazy shit. Like, he is a true boss character.
It's true, and he looks like amazing as well. He just always has that sort of stop motion claymation style, because obviously nobody's fucking acting that guy out.
No.
But I found he was
even
a complete
Forearm Jimmy.
No. Well, I mean, maybe you should. That guy needs work. You know?
No, Forearm Jimmy doesn't look like Goro. He just he uses his extra hands for like jerking off.
Why not?
Alan, in your playthrough, did you get to any of the bonus stages?
Oh, the sort of
Test your might.
test your might. Yes,
those
yes,
are so
it is.
dumb.
They are. It's the equivalent of like the Street Fighter, like beat the shit out of a parked car thing, which
Just
is
not
always
as fun.
hilarious. It's just like
Video games influence me. Every time I go downtown, I kick a car that's in the crosswalk.
Right.
have you seen those fucking Dorkly videos or whatever it is, where the guy is just like comes back and finds his car like that, and it's just like, I told you not to park here. But yeah, no, I mean, they're fine. You basically have to alternate button presses to get this bar up as high as you can go, and then commit by pressing A, and the guy will bring his hand down and either smash the planks or the big stone block or what have you. And I guess again, it's like Sam said, it's a points thing, but you know, it's fine. Kind of dumb.
There's a progression of materials as you go through. Like, the first one's wood, and then it's stone, and then it's steel. I figured out a code to open up kind of like I wouldn't call it a cheat menu, but it's like an extra menu that gives you more options, and you could set it so that it was always like diamond.
Oh wow!
Which I'm sure like the little indicator is all the way to the top. But for me, did you say your button configuration must have been a little different? Because for mine, I had to alternate A and C.
Yeah, that's exactly
just
it.
like, okay, and then I had to press start to actually make the chop come down. So
yeah, that sounds
I had
right.
to I had to like rotate my controller 90 degrees and hold it like a moron to like I used my forefinger and my middle finger to like tap A and C, alternate, and then I would like really quick hit start as soon as it went over that line.
Oh no, I didn't have to do any like finger gymnastics there. I just I mean, Jesus, Sam, what else them fingers do?
Hey,
They're a fun, dumb little addition to the game.
Yeah.
There's nothing really to talk about there. It's just like, I suppose if nothing else, it gives you a little break in the action, because like I said, there's nothing in the way of pausing in this game, so it's nice to have just a little. I'm not fighting anyone at the moment. Let's just get this shit out of the way and move on.
It's a nice breather. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never made it that far, but it's good to hear. Good to hear for sure.
Otherwise, the only breather that you get is just kind of pausing on the ladder screen and just kind of, instead of pressing start to kind of skip it, if you really need a breather, you just kind of sit on the ladder screen until it sends you into the fight.
That's true. Yeah.
Shall we transition over to the movie, since you wanted to talk about that? Because honestly, the movie is where you get a lot of the character's story from.
Yeah.
True. And I mean, listen, I love Mortal Kombat the game. If nothing else, because it created possibly one of the greatest 90s shit action video game adaptations of all time, because God, I love that cheesy ass fucking movie.
Oh, there is nothing wrong with this movie at all.
No,
It
it's
is
actually
so
it's a decent movie. It's fun. Like
It is.
Annihilation isn't great.
No.
This one is fun.
Well, like Alan was saying about the game story and the characters and all that crap, this movie didn't take itself too seriously, so it was kind of lame on purpose, I guess. And it works really well with the theme within the theme of the game because, the characters are. I don't know. I can't take the characters seriously, and it seems like they knew this, and the characters were that campy style that needed to be in order to make them great.
There is not a single actor in that film who is not just completely chewing the scenery, and that's why it works so well. Everyone is fully committed to this bullshit, and it's just amazing. I might have to watch this again soon because
I like that movie. Is so good. I gotta hold on. I can't remember who's in it, but
you got Christopher Lambert as Lord Raiden.
That was
somebody I'd never heard of as Shang Tsung. Robin Shu, Lindsay Ashby.
That guy who played Shang Tsung, Tagawa something. He was like if you needed like an Asian antagonist in literally anything, like that was your guy.
Yeah,
in the sort of 80s and 90s.
Sure.
Like,
I remember him
was
being in
everything. So yeah, just I'd say it's a fairly stacked cast. I mean, you look like Christopher Lambert, like he was in
Lyndon
it as well.
Ashby, Bridget Wilson, Talisa
Bridget
Soto.
Wilson. Bridget Wilson was a babe.
Trevor Joseph Godard as Kano. Just really good. Good cast.
That guy playing Kano was just like literally the most, like, if I remember correctly, he was literally the most British guy. He's like proper geezer. I mean, he might have been from somewhere else. He might have been, I don't know, Australian or something. But in my mind, he's British. Probably got that wrong. But it's just like he was a proper, like, oi kind of a geezer, and I just fucking loved it. It was so good. Oh, what a film!
No, but yeah, like the plot of this movie really fills in the characters, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but they used kind of this movie as a way to start developing the lore of the entire game, because Mortal Kombat 2 was in development while this movie was released.
Yeah, because they have Katana and Reptile are in this game, or in the movie, and they're not in. I mean, Reptile is kind of. We can talk about that in a minute, but yeah, it's fun. It's really funny too, because like I'm looking at the actor who played Sub-Zero, this guy Francois Petit, and it was like his IMDb profile picture is him as Sub-Zero, so you know that like he the only shit he does is like martial arts. He just got the most martial arts ass dude to do one of the ninja characters.
I mean, say what you will about this film, and we'll be like wrapping up here shortly.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Say what you will about this film, but like they really worked hard to like make it as close to the game as possible, and I think they deserve credit for that, because
like the CGI, like get over here with that whip.
Yeah, but not a lot of movies at this time were really faithful to the video games they adapted. Looking at Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, that movie's great too. I love that movie. I don't care.
It is. It's a good shit film.
Yeah. But you talked about Reptile there. That's the secret character you can get in this game, and you have to go through a bunch of hoops to unlock them. Have you ever in your life fought Reptile?
Not in this game, but you know the interesting thing is you have to be on that same bridge stage with the moon, and I think something happens to the moon, and like Reptile pops up and says something, and you have to get one or two flawless victories in a row, or you have to do all kinds of shit. Did you guys even see him? Because there's only like a small percentage chance that he even shows up for this to be available.
When I was young and renting this game, I did see him, but that was like a one-off, and then I don't think I've ever seen him again. So before he became just a regular character.
Because I definitely saw him while I was playing it this week. He popped up.
I didn't even know he was in this game. Like I knew the character, but I didn't know he was in it this early.
It's so weird. He
that's-
just pops up down in the bottom corner and says something, and then I think that sets off the chain of events where like if you meet the rest of the conditions, he'll show up. But like it's such a small chance that
Fuck,
he
now,
even shows
now
up.
I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna have to try and get that.
There's two characters in this game that were rumored to be in the game, but they actually weren't. And one of them was actually made by a joke by Electronic Gaming Monthly. That's Nimbus Terrafo. And they did it, I think, as an April Fool's joke. And people took it seriously, and they were like, "Where the fuck is this character? How do I unlock him?" But this character was never in the game, and it became kind of legendary for like probably one of the best April Fool's jokes done by a magazine.
I mean,
The other
that's-
one was
He's just a boxer.
Airmac, which stood for Air Macro, I believe, and people mistook that as something as another character.
Interesting.
One or both of them might have actually been added to later games.
I wouldn't rule
Yeah,
it
that's
out.
fun when
That
they do
sounds
stuff
like the
like
sort
that.
of thing they would do. It's just such a thing that can't happen these days, isn't it? It's just like, because now we can just look shit up and find out. But back in the day, like, everyone had a rumor about a video game.
Oh yeah, and rumors spread in the weirdest way because we didn't have like the internet and cell phones to spread rumors. We didn't have TikTok, so we had to spread them on the schoolyard like men.
Yeah, and there was no way of checking the validity of these claims except by like
No.
painstakingly trying to find this thing in a game that somebody told you.
And that's why to this day Marilyn Manson is still missing a rib.
True that.
Oh my god.
All
Like
right, what-
we're from 3 different parts of the world, grew up not knowing each other, and we all know exactly what we're talking
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
all know that
about. Yeah,
rumor.
that's how
Schoolyard
good the rumor
rumors.
mill was back then.
Right.
Yep. So, should we wrap things up, guys? What do you say?
I think so.
I think we should. I'll go first because mine's pretty short. Then we'll go Alan. Then we'll finish off with Sam, and then we'll go back to me again. And if we have enough time, once more with Sam. My history of this game was back when I was young, and I was a young adult. I was 12, 13 years old when this came out. I remember playing it in arcades because, arcades were very popular back in the early 90s. And I liked fighting games. I like fighting games in arcades especially. It just feels more comfortable playing it on an arcade cabinet. Never was I good at fighting games on the Super Nintendo because I couldn't map my brain to the shoulder buttons being like punches and kicks. When I got games like Street Fighter, I would remap the shoulder buttons to weak attacks just because it was easier for me to ignore those. This game didn't really allow me to do that because there's only block, a weak, and or low and a high punch and slash kick. So my memories of this game are very good, but to this day, I cannot get into a fighting game, and this is no exception. So I'm going to base this on Little Brian's feelings, not the Little Brian in my pants, Little Brian from the 90s. I'm going to give this game, probably for its historical significance, an 8 out of 10.
Oh,
Awesome.
wow. Very nice.
Yeah, you didn't
Yeah.
see that coming, did you?
I really didn't.
I thought you might, because I know that you're big on the history of things, and I know that plays a factor, and that's going to play a factor for me as well. I think. 'Cause to say I'm the same. I'm not a fighting game guy. I used to be as a kid, and I have fond memories. I mean, back in the day, anything that was a little bit edgy, a little bit dangerous, was something that we were inherently interested in. I mean, you think back to our childhoods, like they made toys of everything. They made toys of RoboCop, they made toys of Terminator, they made toys of Alien, and these were all things we should not have been watching or interacting with at the time, but we just lapped that shit up all day long. And so when we heard about this game, or saw this game, and just saw like the unfettered violence and the blood and the fatalities, and it's like, oh my god, this is like, we have to play. It's like, you had to play Mortal Kombat, because everyone was playing it. All the cool kids were playing it, and so did I. Never being a cool kid myself, of course. I certainly enjoyed it more as a child, but I think that's just because I was less concerned with how good I was at a game and more just concerned with having fun. And I think that's the secret sauce when it comes to fighting games. It's just trying to do a little better each time and enjoying why you're doing it. You know, these days I play games just, you know, to complete them, and you know, I'm not always going to be able to do that with a fighting game. Visually, it looks great. It looked like nothing else at the time. Music-wise, we didn't really touch on music, and I can only speak to the Megasis version of this, but you know, I do enjoy the music. It does sound very, very early Megasis. You know, it has that very almost tinny, twangy, bow, sort of sound. And I was talking to someone about this today. It's just like, you know, oh, you know, they've remastered games and better sound and what have you. It's just like, well, yeah, but I kind of like the nostalgia of old shitty like game music. So I don't know, I just have a lot of warm feelings for Mortal Kombat, and I've got to say, without question, one of the most iconic logos for a video game series ever. And I had to get that in because we didn't talk about that logo, and they just knocked it out of the park right away. Outstanding. So all said and done, I don't know, I think it's I know we're supposed to be fighting, but I think I have to agree with Brian. You know, we're gonna go for a friendship here, and I'm gonna call it an 8.
Ah, good reference.
Hell yeah. Fuck. All right, Sam, we're wrapping up.
Okay, so wait, what did you guys give it? An 8?
An 8 and an 8.
Ah, interesting. Okay. I had a lot of fun with this this week. I didn't beat it, even though I do just need to kind of get good. But you know what? One thing we didn't talk about was the fucking input reading. This game is such a cheap bastard on input reading, because it kind of feels like, you know, if you get into your groove of, you know, using for Sub-Zero, for example, like I would just freeze and then I would punch, and then jump back, freeze, punch, and rinse and repeat. Well, the CPU would just kind of like catch on to that, and I could shoot 10 ice beams in a row and they would just duck, and then if I tried to do anything else, they would just beat the living fuck out of me. So I think this game, it's fun, but you have to, I guess, be good enough to vary your strategy, or at least have a few more moves in your pocket than I did. You can't just rely on like a one-trick pony type way to be successful. It's not going to work. But yeah, I had a ton of fun. I always forget, because I always say, like, I'm not really a fighting game guy, and then I play a fighting game and it's like, well, goddamn, this is fun. Like, why don't I play more of these? And it happens every single time. I get into them, and it's fun to, you know, chip away at them little by little. You know, I can't sit and play them for hours and hours because I think I'd get bored, but man, for that little bit of just like throw it on and play, it's perfect. This is, you know, kind of a more action-packed or think on your toes version of a puzzle game. I love it. All the visuals were nostalgic. You know, the battle arenas, the characters, the sound. I think one thing I will say is I did miss some of the things that became later tropes in like Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. And Mortal Kombat Trilogy is great too, but you know, those things where you could like uppercut, you know, into like the upper levels of like the arenas had like 3 levels where you could, you know, I missed those sort of things that later became staples. So I probably won't rate this as high as you guys, just because I know for a fact that, you know, Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat 3 are waiting right around the corner and doing all of this better. You know, adding characters, adding fatalities, and that kind of thing. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7.5, just because it's like, you know, it's enjoyable, but I know that other games in the series did it better and perfected the model, I guess. Fun. I can't wait to play more fighting games, and I think, you know, I kept my eye out at the retro shop this past week, and Mortal Kombat 2 was right there, and I didn't get it. And I'm going to kick myself because I really should have picked it up. But I'll keep my eye out for Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 for sure. And maybe a 6-button controller for my Genesis, because this is some fun shit to get into when you got some downtime.
Yeah, I can see this. Right. I can see this like kicking off There's a few more fighting games on Retrotopia in future.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. But I guess that's it. We got 2 8s and a 7.5. Rounding it out to a, let's just call it an 8 rounding up.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it for the episode. Our first fighting game. Hopefully we did it justice. I mean, I find it harder talking about fighting games than anything else because, I mean, what do you really talk about except for the fighting itself? The gameplay is pretty much, punch, kick, and make it to the end. But that's how it goes. And it has been me, Alan, and Sam. Alan, why don't you tell them where they can find us if they want to join in on the fun?
Absolutely, Brian. And like where we're talking about talking fighting games, maybe we'll get better like playing a fighting game, But if you want to hear how we get on in future with any fighting games, then you can listen to the main show, Retrotopia, every Sunday wherever you get your podcasts. Or you could join our Patreon and get it early. Listen every Friday. You can find literally everything, including all of our socials and our TeePublic page, where Brian has just put up a bunch of fucking fantastic new designs. All of that at linktree/Retrotopia. That's linktr.ee/Retrotopia. And while you're at it, why not rate, review, share, tell people about the show, and come and join our Discord and tell us what you thought. And that's going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Alan. And Sam, any final words?
Get over here.
I can't afford the plane ticket. So that's it
Yeah,
for another episode of Retrotopia. I've been Brian with Alan and Sam, and I think this episode's getting a little bit dizzy, so
Finish him!